Download our free guide, Starting Your Photo Business, at photoshelter.com/mkt/research.
Hey, this is Grover from PhotoShelter, and I am connected here via Skype with the tax ninja. This would be Matthew T. Whatley. He's in San Francisco, and he's a tax expert. He specializes in helping small to medium-sized creative businesses. And you have many photographers as clients, right, Matt?
Correct. At least probably 30 to 40 returns per year are professional photographers.
Awesome. So I wanted to ask you some common questions that are important to photographers, especially those who are starting out in business. First one here is, what are some of the legitimate expenses for a photographer? And what I mean is, like, what expenses will end up raising a red flag somewhere down the line?
All right, so basically, in terms of what a legitimate expense is, the rule for the IRS is whether or not an expense is ordinary and necessary to the generation of income for the photographer. So if the photographer is unable to actually justify that the expense was necessary for them to do their business, then that's going to be something that is not going to be allowed if they were audited by the IRS. In terms of things that raise a red flag, something raises a red flag simply when it's a very large expense and seems out of place for a photographer or somebody in a creative business to have that large of an expense. A good example of things the IRS likes to audit that photographers do are, number one, is having really large home office expenses. So say they're trying to deduct 50 or 75% of their home office. That might raise a red flag because it seems that a home office would not take up 75% of someone's house. What's allowable for a home office is the area exclusively used for business, which a lot of people don't quite understand, and they get in trouble there. It's not the area that they did use for business some, like their living room that they also did some editing on their couch. It's the area only used for photography, only used for the storage of gear, only used for working at their desk, doing their invoicing, etc. So it has to be an exclusive area. The other big one the IRS likes to audit is mileage expenses that are out of place. So like if somebody says they drove 15 or 20,000 miles for business, they need to have documentation of this. What the IRS requires for a mileage expense deduction is they want to see the start and stop odometer reading of the vehicle, as well as where the person went, the date they went there, and why they went there for business. And this is a lot of information to carry. And a lot of people don't do this every time they get in the car. I have trouble doing it myself. So it's good to make sure that you have something else that backs up this expense. For example, maintenance records of the vehicle, plus a calendar or a day planner or something else that shows where you went and why you went there. So if called to do so, you could recreate the mileage log using other evidence. So a really important thing to do would be get your maintenance records when you go and get an oil change and save that because it's got the odometer reading on it. Or use your camera phone even and take a picture of the odometer at the beginning and the end of the year, just to show how much mileage was on the vehicle throughout the year. All your other expenditures that you keep track of, things like supplies, development, etc., all these expenses need to be documented with some kind of receipt to back it up. So you need to have a paper receipt, and then if you have something like a bank statement or a credit card statement, these are acceptable, but only when the statement itself is self-evident of the expense. So that means if you go to Costco and you spend $320 on gear and supplies and things for your business, well, an auditor can look at that and see that you can buy anything in the world from Costco, whether it be your food or actual business expenses. As such, you need to have the actual physical receipt on hand to be able to itemize all the different items and why they're business related. If, on the other hand, you go to Office Max and you buy staples and paper clips, there's not a whole lot of fun stuff you can buy at Office Max. So chances are an auditor would say, oh, that's probably office expenses. That's all you can really buy at Office Max. And they'd let you just deduct that. For this record keeping, what I recommend people do is, at least to keep track of it all, get a separate bank account or credit card and use that exclusively for business. Don't commingle your personal and your business accounts. If you need to use money from your business account to pay for something, transfer it to your personal account and pay for it out of there. If it's going to be a business expense, just pay for it straight out of the business account. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. You know, you mentioned claiming home office business expenses as being a red flag. Is it common, or have you heard of the IRS wanting to just come on over to your house and inspect the area and check for themselves?
They will do either that or ask you for photographs. Depending on where the IRS office is, they may want to come and see it. if it's a lot of money, especially, you have people that may own, in San Francisco, you have people owning $800,000 to $1 million homes. So the home office deduction can be as much as $15,000. They really want to actually, and they have an office here in San Francisco, so they'd like to come over and check it out. If you have photographs of the area, though, and it's all staged up and looks very office-y, quote unquote, then they might just accept that. Some auditors I've even seen will want an actual floor plan of the house and want you to draw out where the home office is located. In terms of making sure that you can deduct the most possible for your home office, take all the gear that you have. Photographers oftentimes have a lot of gear, lights, etc., or may have printed out works that they have that are already framed. Take all those and pile them all up in the office area, because you have more office-related, more photography-related stuff in the office. So that's more, that lends to a more legitimate claim that the area is exclusively used for the photography business and nothing else.
Well, great. Thank you very much for that information, and I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.